Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Ohioan podcast. Craig Schaub here with Akron Beacon Journal film critic, sports writer, and entertainment writing extraordinaire, George Thomas. George, how you doing?
I'm awake.
You're awake. It's a late Thursday night, but we're talking Pinocchio. So we thought let's stay up and talk Pinocchio. This is kind of one of those strange years where you get the sort of the double release on the same subject matter. In this case, Pinocchio. A little bit later this year, you'll see a Guillermo del Toro version of Pinocchio, and it kind of got me inspired to look back at some of those weird release schedules in which you had, uh, The Illusionist and The Prestige, a couple of magic movies in I think 2007. You had,
Volcano.
yeah. I was also thinking you had Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down.
Yeah.
Both came out in the same year. Again, very strange. So it's not uncommon, but it's kind of a strange thing. And here we get the live action version of Pinocchio with Robert Zemeckis teaming up, of course, with Tom Hanks. Um, is this Pinocchio worth its weight here? I mean, should we be holding out for Del Toro? Should we go back to the classic Pinocchio? What do you think, George?
We're talking about two filmmakers I like,
Right.
but you know, with respect to this Pinocchio, why are they bothering? It's like they're remaking Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the live action version of that, right?
Right.
But why? And the simple answer is, and Disney. I could say it's a money grab, but
Right.
it's not really. It's a subscriber grab for Disney Plus,
Right.
moving the needle there because it's not a theatrical release. A couple years ago, and I agree with a writer, Scott Mendelson of Forbes, wrote a couple years ago, this would have been a theatrical release. And you know what? He's right.
Yeah.
It most definitely would have been. And you know what? A couple years ago, it would have been as unnecessary as it is now. Because as much as they like Robert Zemeckis, he takes a simple story, a simple morality tale, and overstuffs it for the most part. The original animated film, which came out in 1940, and it was Walt Disney Studios' second animated film after Snow White. That original film clocked in at 91 minutes, I want to say. This clocks in at 140, an hour and 43 minutes, which is a vast difference.
Yeah.
And in the case of this version, there really is nothing sacred. I mean, Zemeckis changes a lot of key points with this film. The basics are still there,
Yeah.
but there's a big change, and I don't want to give it away because I know people will be flocking to stream this with their kids. I don't want to give it away, but it's like once it happens, you say to yourself, why is this necessary? It's kind of wooden. It feels kind of forced. And even with Tom Hanks and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who voices Jiminy Cricket, the best thing about it is and I forget her first name, Erivo.
Oh, Cynthia
Erivo singing "When You Wish Upon a Star" because she's got an absolutely angelic voice, and she plays a blue fairy. But other than that, this is a vehicle for Robert Zemeckis to play with his photorealistic toys.
Right.
They can claim it's live action, but it's animation. It's a blending of technologies, live action and that photorealistic technology. And had he, I would have much rather seen a frame by frame remake of this, a la The Lion King, than have him stuff it and change it.
Okay.
That's the best way to put it. To see what he could do with that technology.
So you say that it's kind of unnecessary and probably why people shouldn't really bother maybe to see it necessarily, but are you all in on the Del Toro version, the animated version that's coming, or do you not care to? Are you looking forward to it? I guess.
I'm not. I'm neutral. It's like I'll see it when it comes out, and I'll make my judgment then.
Okay.
It's like I said, they're both talented filmmakers. I mean, they're filmmakers whose work I seek out when I know it's coming. So I'll see it, and I'll probably review it and pass judgment then. I expect something wholly more dark,
Right. Yeah.
from Guillermo. I really do. So we'll see.
Okay. What's your final grade on Pinocchio?
My review ran today on beaconjournal.com, and I gave it a B minus.
Okay.
And if you can't find the website, chances are they've linked to it on Rotten Tomatoes by now. So
yeah. Well, and I know that we talk a lot about streaming, about theatrical. Another earlier in the year, HBO and Warner Brothers has really kind of dedicated to reinvesting into theatrical release. That's what Warner Brothers plans are moving forward. You shared something with me from the Hollywood Reporter about Paramount wanting to ramp up theatrical release output from 12 to 15 films a year in 2024. I mean, what do you kind of make of this? Is this maybe these big pedigree studios? Do you think that this is going to be the norm for Warner Brothers, Paramount, Universal?
Yeah, I do, because what I think is happening, and I don't know why I didn't come to this conclusion better or sooner. Everybody expected streaming to basically cannibalize theatrical. No. Streaming will cannibalize, to a certain extent, home video.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here, because they're realizing, and again, I don't know why they didn't realize it before, but theatrical runs in the past have served as nothing more than a huge commercial and money-making opportunity for the eventual home video release. And I sound so old using the term video, but the home entertainment release.
Yes.
And it goes back, is it 40 years yet? I mean, the Paramount broke that sell-through wall back in 85, I want to say. I was working at a video store / audio video store with a movie club back then. They had a 25 for 25 promotions. It was 25 high profile films, each priced at $25, and it was revolutionary at the time. Absolutely revolutionary. And people thought it would fail, and no. Back then they laughed their way to the bank. And that was VHS. That was 40 years ago.
Right.
Plus, the modern home entertainment industry was born. Then you get pay-per-view, blah blah blah, all this. But that's what's happening here. Those theatrical runs have accounted for, pre-pandemic, it was well over $11 billion domestically.
Yeah.
It was more than $30 billion internationally pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money, a lot of revenue to give up gambling on streaming.
Right.
So I expect this to be the norm.
Well, do you feel like Universal will follow suit as another one of the major studios that has, not that they don't commit to, releasing theatrically, but they've also done a lot of same, I know they did it last year with the Halloween movie, and they do a lot of day and date release on their streaming service, Peacock. So do you feel like maybe just to kind of, cater to what the fans seem to like, which is, a theatrical release with a, 45 to 60 day window before it gets to streaming? I mean, do you feel like this might nudge Universal to make a decision like this and say, well, we're going to start committing to theatrical as well, because our, the big dogs in this race are still, investing in theatrical?
I think they're going to nudge those Peacock numbers a little bit more, but I think eventually you'll see one of two things. They'll commit 100% theatrical runs first, or they'll split it based on the budget of the film
Right.
for the time being. I could be wrong, but again, giving up theatrical revenue is insane, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you make a good movie, and you and I both know good is subjective depending
Right.
on your case. But the perfect example is Top Gun Maverick. You make a movie that's a good piece of entertainment, and I don't think anybody will dispute, regardless of artistic value, it's a nice piece of entertainment. People will go to theaters to see it.
Yeah.
And it's last week it was the number one film at the box office
Yeah.
to end the summer,
Yeah.
which is unheard of in this
Right. Well,
belt of
I did want to kind of pick your brain about last week's. I think it was National Cinema Day or whatever they kind of framed it, where they had the cheaper movie ticket prices and brought back Top Gun Maverick, or I guess in some cases maybe Top Gun Maverick was still playing in certain theaters. But then you had like I know Spider-Man No Way Home was out there as well. Um, and then I know this week they're also doing something where there's cheaper prices at certain theaters, or at least certain theaters. Do you kind of like that idea, given the fact that you and I both know that the end of summer is pretty terrible for new movie releases? So why not maybe have a weekend or two where you bring out some classics, or you bring out movies that did well earlier this year, or late last year, and give them another theatrical run? Do you like that?
Do I like it? On the weekend, sure, but you know what they're normally called? Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's when those deals are normally given. And
Yeah.
and you know what? The theaters have nothing to lose. You want to know why? Because they're not selling movies, really.
Right. Right.
They're selling concessions.
Right.
They're selling a $6 ooh baby size Pepsi or Coke.
Right.
They're selling a $12 tub of popcorn that's worth 50 cents in kernels. I mean, that's what they're doing.
Right.
So, as a movie fan, but considering I don't really pay for movies, it doesn't bother me one way or the other.
Yeah.
I get like a perfect example. My son left here at 11 Saturday morning because of that, and I
Okay.
get why he did it. $3 is $3.
Right. Yeah.
There were things that his fiance hadn't seen, so yeah, I get it. It's nice to be
Exactly.
able to do it on a weekend. It
Right.
really is. It's a cheap weekend, so sure, why not? But like I said, it used to be Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of I did not get a chance to see Spider-Man No Way Home, and I think in some theaters maybe Jaws was re-released, and I think it'd be kind of
I
yeah.
know.
I think it'd be kind of cool to give people the theatrical experience like you had with Star Wars that I didn't necessarily have with the original Star Wars, or some other people didn't have with like 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'd love to see that in theaters. I think it'd be kind of fun to maybe have a weekend or two every year, especially in the summer or maybe in the winter when you're trying to, you know, get through until the spring and summer season, or in this case, you're trying to get through to Oscar season and holiday release schedules. So I think it's a brilliant marketing strategy to bring fans in for movie like Jaws. Fans probably that don't go to movies all the time maybe said, hey, let's go to the theater. Like you said, your son going to it because it's a cheap date. It's a cheap opportunity to see something and catch up on something that you hadn't seen yet.
But think about it. This past weekend was probably the perfect weekend to do it. There's nothing really new in theaters, blah, blah, blah. They only did Saturday, but
Right.
it would be nice if they started at like 8 o'clock on a Friday night and went through Sunday or for Labor Day weekend, go to 5 o'clock Monday afternoon.
Right.
And that would really be something not necessarily special, but
Yeah.
a way to show gratitude for the exhibitor industry still being there. Although a couple of them filed bankruptcy this week.
Right.
So, but I could appreciate what they tried to do, even if I'm a bit cynical about it because I know where they make their money.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're doing it again this weekend. I think I saw an advertisement that said like the Twilight Saga will be in theaters or whatever for like $5 or something. So, hey, I'm sure someone's going to take advantage of it. They're trying to draw fans to the theater, and I can't blame them, and I think it's a good thing. So, what have you been watching lately? I think you said something that maybe you've seen Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, the Sterling K. Brown and Regina Hall film.
Yeah, that film has been taking a lot of flack because, and I don't want to deal with it too long because I don't want people like doxing me and looking for my address on the internet, Northeast Ohio. But it's gotten some backlash, and the reason is it hits pretty close to home to the Black church. It really does. Yeah. And, it's not as funny as it could be. The performances are great. Absolutely great. It's got plenty to say. But for satire, which is what it is,
right,
it really needed to be funny.
Right. Okay. Anything else that you've been watching or streaming or binging here lately?
Good Lord. I'm drawing a blank. You know what? In preparation for the Browns, not really. Oh. Yeah, football season starts this weekend.
Yes, it does. Yeah, well, right around the corner, and you can watch George's videos that he produces on the Cleveland Browns. Read all of his content at George Thomas by George Thomas on Twitter or at beaconjournal.com. George, it's going to be a short one this week, but I definitely appreciate you stopping by, and we'll talk next week more about. Hopefully some new is anything else coming out next week, or we have to wait?
New Viola Davis. Viola
is it the Warrior King or the Woman King or something?
Yes, and it's the studio's doing something weird. The screening for critics is 8:30 Friday night.
Oh wow!
Coincide with the premiere at either Venice or is Venice done?
I think Venice is still going on.
It's either Venice or Toronto. It premieres this Friday, and they're syncing up screenings to, my guess, minimize leaks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
probably the only leak that's going to come out of that for sure is that Viola Davis is probably getting an Oscar nomination no matter what. She always seems like she's a shoo-in at this point, but which she's a terrific actress and she's well deserving of all the accolades she's gotten over the years, but. Kind of interesting to see what they do with that. I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about it. I've seen a couple of trailers, but always interested in seeing Viola Davis, though.
Absolutely. An FYI, why am I so hyped for Black Adam? Can you tell me?
Well, because you just love Dwayne Johnson, you love The Rock.
I've never been a big Dwayne Johnson guy.
Okay. Maybe is it a Pierce Brosnan fan? Maybe I don't know.
Pierce Brosnan was Bond before he was Bond.
Yeah,
but I go back to his Remington Steele days. That's before your time.
I know what you mean.
The second Black Adam trailer dropped about an hour ago.
Okay,
and it's like it's got wow factor as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
There's one we didn't talk about: DC not being able to find somebody to produce its movies.
I did see that they've tried. Did they offer the job to that guy, or did he just say no? Or
negotiations broke down, which is code for we're never really going to know what happened.
Yeah,
but my guess is it could be a creative control issue. Blah 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 blah, and it's like
you're trying to look for your Kevin Feige. You kind of need to. I think they need to get organized and they need to just say whoever they trust. I don't know if the guy that they were looking at had anything to do with prior DC properties or projects, but they just seem like they're in shambles. They don't really know what they want to do. They canceled Batgirl. Did they cancel Doom Patrol and some of the other TV series, or are they still kind of in limbo?
Doom Patrol and Titans have the opportunity to prove their worth with their new seasons coming up. Right. Harley Quinn, the cartoon, which I've got to get caught up on. It started its new season a few weeks ago. Has already been renewed for a 4th season.
I did see that, yeah. So it looks like it's kind of a hodge, but it looks like, and I think you're right, they're allowing these shows to, if people watch them, they will renew them, because Harley Quinn would have been an easy cancel. If they're doing this, we're just going to, jettison money, save money, whatever. That could have been an easy show to cancel from their perspective.
And see, I like Titans, but I even fall behind on it.
Right.
I mean, I still have 3 or 4 episodes in season. What season are they on? 2?
Are they going into 4 or 5?
I see. I lose track. No, it's definitely not 4 or 5. Okay. But I still have a few episodes there. Again, we go back to the dilemma of so much content, and I'm still all over the place with the Sandman. And I've got 2 advanced episodes of House of the Dragon that I haven't watched. And okay. It's
there's too much going on, and it's football season, Yeah.
Oh, welcome to my life.
Yeah.
All right.
Joe, as always, thank you for stopping by. We will talk more again, and good luck with all the Browns coverage coming, and more. We'll look forward to more of your movie reviews as well.
All right. Take it easy.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Mooney. Welcome to what is our new Hope Interrupted podcast based on the work from our book, Hope Interrupted, that I co-authored with my good friend Byron McCauley.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm looking forward to this podcast as much as I was looking forward to writing this book with you. We hope to interview some high-impact folks as well as have a little fun.
We're going to cover stories of hope. To learn more about our podcast and our book, please visit www.hopeinterrupted.com.